In this lecture, we're going to be talking about a memory improvement system. We're going to be talking about mnemonic devices and how to properly use those devices. It is an elaborate, advanced system, and it's one of the most fundamental and important ideas and concepts you can understand and use to improve your memory. You either already went through the pegging method lecture or you're going to go through it soon. But the pegging method is one of the easiest and most elaborate mnemonic devices systems that you can use, and here we're going to be talking about some other similar methods. First off, we'll start with the keyword mnemonics. If you have a list, a group of phrases, certain paragraphs you need to memorize, you can use keyword mnemonics. Usually, for us to remember a list or a paragraph or a phrase, it is enough for us to remember the first keyword to remember the rest. A lot of times when we're trying to remember something, just glimpsing at the first word is enough for us to remember everything. So if you have a paragraph you need to memorize, and it's made out of 10 different phrases, it is enough for you to understand and read repetitively the paragraph as a whole and the phrases separately. And then you create a list, 10 keywords in order, where each keyword signifies the main idea of each and every phrase. So you can form the 10 keywords, assembling them together to get the paragraph as a whole. It is way easier to memorize 10 keywords than to memorize 10 phrases. Moving on, you can also use musical mnemonics. If you listen to a song over and over again for an entire day, you'll most likely be able to remember most of the lyrics. But if you listen to the same amount of information in terms of an ebook, it'll be harder for you to remember all the words, phrases, and information. So if you have something you need to memorize, try to transform it into a musical mnemonic. Make a song out of it. A song is catchier and easier to understand and elaborate upon. And this can be one of the mnemonic devices hacks that you can use to improve your memory. Moving on, we're going to also be talking about the chunking mnemonics. If you have a number made out of 10 different digits, let's say 647, 8504, 835, it is harder to memorize the 10 digits all at once. But if you cut them down into 3 or 4 separate chunks, it'd be easier for you to remember it. So if we chunk the number down to 1647, 8504, and 835, and you memorize each chunk alone, then group them together, it'd be easier for you to remember this big number. And this is how you use the chunking method as a mnemonic device to improve your memory. You can also use letters mnemonics. If you have a list or a paragraph or phrases you need to memorize, as we said in previous examples, remembering the first letter of the first word or the first letter of the keyword can make it way easier for you to remember the keyword and therefore remember the information you're trying to memorize. And then out of all those letters you assembled, you can make a word, a group of letters, or chunks of letters. So if you have a paragraph you need to memorize made out of 4 different phrases, and each and every phrase you want to try to memorize the first word, use the letter mnemonic and therefore memorize the first letter. Let's say the first phrase, the first word starts with a B, the second phrase, first word starts with an L, and then an E, and then an M. So instead of memorizing the phrases separately, you can mix up all those letters and have the word blem. And once you have this word blem, once you write it down, you know what the B stands for, you know what the L stands for, you know what the E stands for, and you know what the M stands for. Moving on, another system we can use is the rhymes mnemonics. This is a mnemonic device that can be interconnected with other mnemonic devices. For us to make sure that the system works effectively, most of the times finding a system that you use that rhymes with the information you're trying to memorize can make it way easier to acquire, store, and therefore recall the information. Now we're not going to talk about the PEG mnemonics. I just wanted to cite it as one mnemonic device you can use. To learn more about it, watch the lecture that talks about the PEG method, and if you haven't seen it, go see it or watch it again if you forgot about it. And lastly, the two different mnemonic devices that also can be associated together, connection or linking mnemonics. Basically, finding the letters or the words or the numbers that have a certain connection to the information you're trying to memorize and not just rhymes can also make it easier to use the mnemonic system. Linking the mnemonic system to the information can also be very helpful. Now what's different is that in the connection system, you are connecting a system to the information. But when we talk about linking, we are talking about linking personal experience-based mnemonic devices with the information. So in the case of a connection, if you're trying to memorize a paragraph, you can see what this paragraph can be connected to in terms of other information that you already memorized. And you can leverage this connection to memorize the other bits of information you're trying to remember. Now in the linking system, what you're doing is you are linking a mnemonic device based on personal experience with the information you're trying to memorize. If the paragraph you're trying to memorize resonates with any kind of personal experiences you've had in life, you can link this information to the personal experience you had, and therefore, it'd make it easier for you to remember the information.